The shot cracked the silence like thunder through stone. Reaper's chest plate shattered, ceramite and flesh torn apart in a single brutal hit. His body slammed into the canyon wall, dropped, then rolled into the red dust, motionless except for the faint twitch of a gloved hand. Above him, laughter echoed. Primitive reflexes! Commander Clorax sneered, stepping closer. The alien's armored boots kicked up ochre clouds as he strutted past his squad. His bone-plated jaw flexed in amusement. Record this. One of the mercenaries raised a hovering lens drone, its lens gleaming crimson under the twin suns of Riel 9. Reaper didn't move. Couldn't. His helmet was cracked, visor spiderwebbed. Oxygen was leaking. His left lung had collapsed, and he tasted blood behind his molars. Every breath was a coin flip between staying alive and slipping under. Clorax crouched beside him, talon-like fingers tapping on the fractured chest plate. You lot scream so much when you die. He's quiet. That's new. Another alien leaned in. Maybe he's dead already. Then let's wake him up. Clorax leaned forward and whispered, Smile for the broadcast. He carved into the armor, 3 slashes across the Terran insignia, mocking Earth's flag. He stood, looked up at the drone, and raised both arms wide. Galactic lords sweep another sector. Another human outpost fails. This is your champion? Earth, take a good look. The transmission beamed skyward. But none of them noticed the faint pulse in the dirt beneath Reaper. No one saw the blood-slick hand curl into a fist, just barely. No one heard the soft click of a failsafe engaging beneath ruined plating. At 40% vitals, his beacon activated. 8 kilometers northeast, in a narrow fissure between basalt spires, Naira's comlink pulsed once. Then again. Then held a red glow. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. Mackie, 6-foot shadow with knives strapped to every inch of his frame, nodded and slid a spike into his wrist sheath. Roach, grizzled and half-machine, snapped his rifle scope into place and muttered, Got eyes? Reaper's down, Naira said. No emotion. Just fact. Roach blinked. Dead? She turned to him, jaw locked. Not yet. That was enough. Roach toggled his HUD. Static. Jammers are up. Lord Hack Trick, they want a clean stage. No signals in. No distress out. They forgot. Mackie signed with 2 fingers. Who we are. Naira tapped her sidearm twice and sprinted. Roach followed, checking his traps on the move. Mackie didn't run. He vanished between the rocks like a shadow falling sideways. Back in the canyon, Reaper's vision flickered. His HUD was fractured, everything smeared in static and blood warnings. The numbers didn't scare him. He'd seen worse. Felt worse. The pain didn't matter. What mattered was the beacon. If it pulsed green, help was coming. If it blinked red, he was on his own. It wasn't blinking red. He coughed. Pain arced through his ribs like glass grinding bone. He welcomed it. It meant he was still alive. One alien kicked his boot. He twitched. He's dying, said another. Let him. Clorax turned, inspecting the scene like a director eyeing his set. Too slow. Finish it. But no one moved. A single flare cut through the sky, blood red, rising behind the jagged cliffs. It hissed, screamed, then burst. Clorax blinked up at it. That wasn't ours. A pause. A mercenary stumbled back, hand to ear. Comms are dead. Another hissed. My HUD's freezing. Then came the sound, a soft metallic thip, not a shot, not a blast. Just a whisper of death. One alien dropped. His throat opened in a clean line. No scream. No shot fired. Then another. A snap crack to the skull. Helmet folded inward like paper. Dead before he hit the floor. Clorax turned fast, weapon raised. Form perimeter! Panic crept into the squad's formation. Their confidence fractured. They'd mocked death. Now it was walking among them. Roach crouched above the canyon, cloak flared against the rocks. He muttered into his half-dead mic. 2 down. Eyes on 6 more. Mackey's in the wind. Good, Naira whispered through gritted teeth. Let him ghost. She dropped into the shadows near the far ledge, blade ready. Her breathing was controlled, precise. Rage was there, but caged. She was raised for this. Forged for it. Roach fired once, silent pulse round. A merc's weapon arm exploded from the elbow down. He howled, stumbled, and Naira finished him mid-scream. One swift arc of her blade across the jugular. 3 down. Below, Reaper stirred. Vision blurry, hearing warped. But the screams brought clarity. The squad that mocked him? Dying. He smiled, barely. Mackey moved like vapor. He was in the cluster before they knew he was real. One alien turned, too slow. Mackey slipped behind, blade through the base of the skull. Another reached for a sidearm. Mackey twisted the wrist, then elbow, then neck. Bone cracked like dry branches. The body dropped like a puppet with strings cut. Roach whispered in his mic. Ghost tally 5. Clorax backed toward his dropship, breath sharp. This wasn't battle, it was collapse. His elite squad was breaking. He snarled, scanning the rocks. Where? A gunshot snapped through the noise. Clorax's knee gave out. He collapsed. Reaper on one elbow, smoking pistol in hand. Blood trickled from his mouth, but his eyes were clear now. Alive. Focused. You should have finished the job, he rasped. Clorax raised his rifle, shaking hands, no confidence left. Another shot. This time through the rifle, straight into Clorax's hand. Weapon gone. Reaper dragged himself forward. You broadcast everything, right? He wheezed. Clorax whimpered. Good. Then the Galaxy'll see what happens next. Above, Naira nodded once. Roach triggered the killzone mines. Dust exploded. Screams cut short. Mackey reappeared in the smoke, untouched. Reaper passed out beside Clorax's twitching body. Behind them, the flare's smoke still curled. Backup hadn't come. Backup had arrived. The canyon was quiet, but it wasn't still. The wind skimmed low across the jagged rocks of Riel 9, pushing fine red grit into open wounds and fractured armor. What remained of Lord Hack's forward unit were twitching limbs, scorched boots, and 2 mercs staggering through smoke with their helmets offline, breathing panic. No comms. No support. No command. And no clue they were being hunted. Naira dropped flat behind a curved shale outcrop, watching one of the survivors limp toward a static generator. His exosuit hissed as it overcompensated, servos whining under the stress. He was trying to reboot the signal grid, restore command net. Smart move. Too bad he wouldn't finish it. She signaled, one finger, forward curl, stop. Roach's scope zeroed in from the plateau above. Clear? Yours, she whispered. A faint pulse. Then the target's visor cracked outward. He didn't fall, just slumped forward like a puppet losing strings. Signal's staying dark, Roach said. Next? Mackey didn't wait for the word. The last standing mercenary, the one dragging a scorched plasma pack, vanished in midstep. No gunfire. No scream. Just gone. Seconds later, his body hit the floor behind a supply crate. Face first. Neck wrong. Mackey walked past without looking back, a curved blade spinning once before sliding home into his wrist sheath. Reaper stirred. Half-conscious, vision blurred again. His HUD was dead. Oxygen filter gone. Every breath scraped his throat raw, his chest a furnace of broken bone and effort. But the chaos was growing quieter. Not from silence, but precision. He blinked through the smoke. A silhouette moved, fast, low, efficient. Not enemy. Family. His fingers twitched reflexively toward his sidearm. Still holstered. A familiar voice filtered in, Roach, muttering above him. Damn. You look worse than a plasma-toasted ration pack. He tried to reply. Couldn't. Roach knelt beside him, jabbed a stim into Reaper's neck, then opened a vial and waved it under his nose. Naira's buying us time. Mackey's playing ghost. You just hang in and try not to bleed through the dirt, yeah? Reaper coughed, blood bubbling up. Didn't call. Roach raised an eyebrow. No. But your armor did. Back at the far ridge, Naira was finishing cleanup. 3 corpses, 1 breathing hostage. She knelt beside the alien, flipped his weapon aside, and ripped his comms implant from behind the jawline. He yelped, a guttural screech. She showed him the tiny piece of tech. This? Off. His face twisted. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be alive. She countered. He snarled. You're just humans, grunts. This was a sweep. It's over. She leaned closer, voice razor thin. No. This is just our start. Then she stood and shot him through the kneecap. He screamed again. She walked away. Mackie stood atop the control node, boot pressing into another mech's spine, blade resting just above the vertebrae. The alien grunted, face crushed against the metal. You're silent, it gasped. Mackie said nothing. Just tilted the blade. Wait! I can give access. One flick. Blood. Silence. Mackie opened the access panel, removed the AI chip from the node, and slid it into his scanner. A slow pulse blinked on his visor. Coordinates, patrol patterns, secondary strike plans. Everything. He tossed the corpse off the ledge and dropped down silently into the dust. Reaper was sitting now, back braced against a rock, a bandage sealed over his chest, one arm still limp. His breathing was slower. Not easier, just more measured. He glanced up as Naira crouched beside him. You're late, he rasped. She gave him a tight half-smile. You're heavy. He looked past her, scanning the battlefield. Clorax? Not yet, she said. He ran. Roach joined them, shaking out a data pad. We pulled his command log. They were live streaming this to a bounty board. Figures, Reaper muttered. They wanted to humiliate us. They did worse, Naira said coldly. They tried to make you a warning. Roach's mechanical eye flicked toward Mackie, who was walking back, hands coated in blood, eyes unreadable. Reaper met Mackie's gaze. A single nod passed between them. Then let's return the favor. They regrouped beside the Lord Hack command pod, still smoking, slightly tilted in the sand from the earlier mine blast. The onboard systems were intact. Roach plugged in. We've got enough footage. Their whole op entry. Ambush. Your fall. Our strike back. Clorax's escape. Naira paced slowly. We don't finish this here, it happens again. Somewhere else. Another Reaper down. Another broadcast. Mackie pulled the blade from his side harness and drew a clean line across the metal hull. One word: war. Reaper stood, wincing with effort, but upright. He looked toward the horizon where Clorax had fled. He's not running. He's regrouping. Roach nodded. I'd bet he's holed up 2 clicks south, Old Calm's bunker. Probably thinks we'll extract and leave. Reaper flexed his damaged shoulder. We're not extracting. You sure you can move? Naira asked. Reaper holstered his pistol. I don't need to move fast. Just need to finish one thing. They moved silently, leaving behind nothing but footprints in the crimson sand and scattered alien corpses. Behind them, the beacon Reaper had triggered blinked once more, then went dark. No more signals. Just shadows. Just vengeance. And the next target waiting in the dark. The Old Calm's bunker wasn't on any active maps. A relic from the early mining days on Real 9, buried into a jagged cliff wall, with scorched plating and long-abandoned transmit towers rusting in the dry wind. Now, it served a different master. Inside, Clorax slammed his fist into the console. No signal. No reinforcements. No control. His voice cracked through the bunker's stale air. 4 mercs, the last of his strike team, stood near the entry corridor, twitchy and quiet. One tried to speak. Commander. Clorax turned on him. They were scattered. Broken. He was dying. You saw him. The merc shrank back. Yes, sir. We all saw it. No. You didn't see them. Clorax hissed. They're not human soldiers. They're predators. He jabbed the console again. Static. Nothing but the whine of old systems choking on dust. Outside, less than 100 meters away, Naira crouched on a ledge overlooking the bunker's main entry. Her HUD tracked thermal signatures, 5 bodies inside. 1 pacing, agitated. 4 grouped defensively near the main hall. Reaper knelt beside her, one arm across his ribs. His breathing was labored but calm. He's cornered, Naira whispered. He'll dig in. Let him. Reaper's voice was low, rough. You flush. I finish. Roach's voice buzzed in their ears. Secondary hatches mind. Ready on my mark. They looked to Mackie, already halfway down the slope, sliding soundlessly between rocks. He was close enough to feel the heat from the bunker vents. Naira tapped her forearm. Roach. Go. Boom. A controlled blast ripped through the rear wall of the bunker, dust and steel shrapnel blown inward. Not enough to kill, but loud enough to scatter. Inside, chaos. 2 mercs stumbled back, coughing. Another slipped on a cracked power conduit, weapon clattering. Clorax grabbed his rifle, spun toward the noise, only to freeze. The front door was open. No alarms. No motion. Just wind. Where is he? Clorax barked. The mercs backed toward the hallway. That's when the lights went out. Not flickered, died. Complete blackout. A heartbeat later, the first scream rang out. Mackie moved through the dark like a whisper behind glass. His blade kissed the base of a merc's skull. He let the bodies slump slowly, silently. Another turned his flashlight on, saw only dust. He never saw the throwing spike that pierced his throat. 2 down. Clorax opened fire blindly. They're here! They're inside! He didn't realize no one was listening. Naira entered through the front, low and quiet, stepping over a shattered drone shell. Roach flanked through the blast hole, rifle raised. The final merc ran toward them, weapon shaking. He screamed something in his native tongue. Roach shot him mid-sentence. No pause. Just 1 shot, 1 collapse. Clear, he called. Not yet, Naira said. Because Reaper hadn't moved. He was still at the door. Waiting. Inside the command room, Clorax had 1 clip left. His breath was ragged, his jaw clenched. A shadow moved to his left. He spun and fired. Just a broken chair. Another flicker, he fired again. Missed. Then the voice came from behind him. You humiliated us. He turned. Reaper stood in the doorway, coat tattered, one eye bloodshot, gun at his side. You made it public, Reaper said. So we will, too. Clorax raised his weapon. Reaper shot it from his hand. Clorax fell backward, clutching his fingers. This isn't what you do. You fight. You don't hunt. You're not. Reaper stepped closer, slow and deliberate. We finish what others start. You're wrong, Reaper said coldly. I'm the reply. He didn't shoot Clorax. He stabbed him. Slow. Under the ribs. Clorax gasped, dropped to his knees. They'll send more. Reaper leaned in close. Let them. We'll send fewer back. He turned away as Clorax collapsed, choking on blood and silence. Outside, Naira was already uploading the footage. Roach sorted the killcam data, splicing together the moments from Reaper's armor feed, Mackie's silent takedowns, the flare rising over the canyon. The final shots were brutal, surgical. Then came Reaper's voice clip. You should have finished the job. It faded into Clorax's death rattle. The last frame, a still shot of the squad, silhouetted against Riel 9's twin suns. Reaper standing. Naira and Roach flanking. Mackie's shadow behind them. Captioned with 5 words. Don't bleed out a Reaper. The file transmitted on 5 mercenary networks. Pirate relays picked it up within hours. Bounty boards were flooded. AI news crawlers flagged the footage as Terran's psychological warfare. One reply stood out. Wasn't he alone? No, sender. Just a new message blinking beneath it. He never was. The canyon was empty again. Wind curled low across the blood-stained stone, dragging ash and grit across boots, blades, and broken gear. The bunker was silent. No more shots. No more screams. Just the heavy quiet that follows justice carried out without permission. Naira stood over the comms relay, fingers dancing across the interface. The final edits were done. The file, compressed, encrypted, unmistakably human, was already bouncing through 6 black market satellites. Bounty boards, pirate guild servers, and mercenary hubs would all receive it within the hour. Footage from Reaper's damaged visor. Mackey's silent executions. The broken, bleeding commander of Lord Hack on his knees. And Reaper's voice, quiet, final. You should have finished the job. Naira closed the transmission window. She didn't smile. This wasn't celebration. It was confirmation. Job done. Roach sat against a rusted support beam, checking the last of the gear. Message delivered. Loud. Unignorable. Won't stop them all. Naira replied without turning. Wasn't meant to. Mackey was perched on a broken stair rail nearby, wiping his knives with deliberate care. He hadn't spoken since they returned. He rarely did, but now there was something deeper in his stillness. As if each movement was another page in a story only he could read. Reaper entered the room slowly, limping, arm bandaged with field gauze. The pain was still there. So was the weakness. But he moved without hesitation. Each step louder than gunfire in that quiet room. You got it out? He asked Naira. Every frame. He nodded once. Good. She glanced over. You okay? No. He walked to the wall and sat down. But I'm alive. An hour passed. They said little. Outside, the suns dipped behind jagged cliffs, casting long shadows over the field where it had all started. Naira finally spoke. You remember that first op on Kepler Ridge? Roach scoffed. The one where Mackey stabbed a drone midair and pretended it was strategy? Mackey looked up. Shrugged. Was strategy, Naira said deadpan. They laughed, just once. Brief, low. But it was enough to feel the air shift. The kind of laugh that comes after surviving something designed to kill you. Reaper didn't laugh, but his lips twitched, almost a smile. Almost. Then came the call. A soft beep on Roach's backup comm, barely a device, more a custom-built frequency tapper. He tapped the earpiece. Encrypted ping. No ID. He opened the channel. Static. Then a voice. Female. Mechanical edge, but Terran accent. To whoever sent that broadcast, congratulations. You've just become a recruitment reel. Roach's brow lifted. Name? Doesn't matter. What matters is reach. You made them look weak. You showed the galaxy humans aren't prey. You showed loyalty. Naira folded her arms. What do you want? To help you do it again. Bigger. Reaper leaned forward. We don't work for strangers. The voice posed. Not strangers. Just ghosts who believe in what you did. You don't need to say yes. Just know the next time you bleed, others might bleed with you. Willingly. Static again. Then silence. No one spoke for a moment. Then Roach muttered. They're watching us now. They're always watching, Reaper said. He stood, slower this time. Not because of pain, because of weight. Responsibility. Echoes. Consequence. They buried what was left of Clorax just outside the bunker wall. No ceremony. No words. Just a shallow hole and a helmetless corpse. Let the mercs find him that way. Let them understand. Before they left, Mackey approached a patch of dust near the bunker's edge. He crouched, removed a thin blade from his boot, and scraped carefully into the red earth. One word. Reaper. Then, beneath it, he added another. Back up. He sheathed the blade and stood. Naira watched him, expression unreadable. Think anyone'll understand? She asked. Mackie tapped the dirt once. Then walked away. As they disappeared into the ridge, 3 shadows and 1 limping shape, drones from rival factions would find the scene, broadcast the aftermath, spread it like wildfire. And somewhere in the stars, warlords, pirates, commanders, and bounty chasers would replay the footage, over and over. They'd pause at the flare. Freeze the frame on the silent takedowns. Zoom in on the scarred soldier who was supposed to die. Some would scoff. Others would study. A few would remember the name whispered on dark comms and hidden frequencies. Reaper. But fewer still would understand what mattered more. He wasn't alone. He never was.